Well, I think it was about 4 years ago. Tabaash actually said to me in a meditation that I had 14 books to write. And I just sort of thought, oh, okay, well, I better get going. I had no idea what it was all going to be about to begin with. I thought maybe it was just information that Tabaash was going to channel through me, and I was just going to put it down in written form. But what actually transpired was a book which became a sort of autobiographical teaching book. So how we've written it is I did chapter 1 as my story, the beginning of my story, and then Tabaash would follow through with chapter 2, and he did a teaching. Excuse me, we went right through the whole book like that. So, and he would always pick up the right thread from what I'd said in my first chapter, or whatever the chapter was. And so it's a story of my life, not just about, how I became a channel, but, where I was born, and my time in Canada, the first 11 years of my life. And then we moved to New Zealand in 1971. And then obviously, when I look back in retrospect, you can sort of see the spiritual evolution of yourself. When I've actually looked back over the book after I've written it, it's interesting how you could see little points in your life which are obviously directing you towards specific things. Like I remember writing in the book when I was a 6-year-old, and where we lived in Canada, right at the top of the hill, there was this old cemetery. And as a 6-year-old, I used to hang around the cemetery, and I had no idea why I was hanging around the cemetery, but I just felt so wonderful, the energy, and I didn't know that it was spirit energy, but it just made me feel happy. And there was an area where it was just like a little grassy knoll with these pine trees. And I remember sitting under these pine trees crying because I was remembering or longing for something that I knew existed, but somehow I didn't have it anymore. And obviously I was just remembering spirit. And so writing the book was, it was a bit of a catharsis, obviously, writing about your life, and then giving Tabaash the opportunity to put his teachings in writing. And I found that as I was writing it, I could never actually just sit down and put time aside and say, right, I'm going to put an hour aside. I got the feeling to do it, and I could actually write a whole chapter in a couple of hours if I did it that way. So it's funny, it's sad, it's informative, it's honest. I believe in being quite upfront and blunt about things. I found myself laughing with myself, crying with myself as I was writing it, because it just triggered off a lot of interesting thoughts and feelings and emotions and all that sort of stuff. And writing's an interesting process. It's like you're really digging deep into yourself and remembering stuff, and also discovering stuff about yourself as well. So, so that's book number 1. I'm halfway through book number 2, so I've got 12 more to write, apparently. So.